Hello, friends. Long time no see, it seems. At least here on Sangha Live, it must be pre-summer that I last did some mornings here. So when was that? Sometime in July, probably. Maybe even June. So, welcome, wherever you are and however you are. And when I say wherever you are, it's just checking the comments. You're here and there and here and there. Even, I think, 2 people in Hawaii I saw whizzing up amidst everybody else. So, and South Africa and all around. Amazing to be, each in our place and yet very much here together. And I've seen quite a lot of you in the last couple of weeks. I was at Gaia House teaching a week-long retreat in Devon, the week before last. And there was 60 on the retreat, and about 40 of you were kind of regulars at Sangha Live. So it was really very sweet when I asked in the hall, how many, some had said, some I knew. And I said, how many of you sit with me at Sangha Live? Wow, more than half the group. It was very, very sweet to have that sense of for those of you as well who knew each other from here, and then to meet in person, sit together in person, chant together in person. Yeah, very nice. And then this last weekend, I was teaching in Kent at a wonderful place called the Quadrangle, just outside London, and there was a whole bunch of you came along there as well, and it was really a delight. It was just a weekend, but the weather was beautiful. It's really out, it's just less than an hour from London, but really out in the greenery, and we had really quite beautiful, wonderful couple of days of practice together. So what good fortune, teachings and practices amidst a world that so often looks as if it's, the world, like my Ajahn Buddhadasa used to say when asked to describe the world. He said, a journalist asked him once, how would you describe the world, Ajahn? And his reply was, lost in thought. And, you look around the world, lost in thought, lost in habit, lost in reactivity, lost in beliefs, lost in categorization, objectification, demonization. So that's what I mean when I say, what good thought, what good fortune to have that sense of tools and practices that enable us to kind of extricate ourselves, to untangle ourselves from the kind of binds of our conditioning. And what good fortune to have that sense of having the good company, the goodwill, the good hearts of others to practice with. Yes. So in that spirit, very happy to be here and have these mornings together. I just noticed, I'm not sure if I gave this title or if George extracted it from some previous time I'd given a title, but I guess I must have given it. What is fully, fluidly, freely, something like that way of showing up. So let's see what ways we find to reflect on that this week. We might just give a moment now to think, what does it mean to show up fully? Not that there's some particular experience that, now that's it, now I'm fully here. Showing up, being present, opening to experience, that's an infinite process, right? There's really no such thing as total openness. If you have the thought, now I'm totally open, now I'm fully here, then just the very thought, I'm fully here, is going to be something of a constraint upon that sense of full openness. So really, actually, to show up fully is to show up in an unmeasured way, an unconcerned way, an unself-conscious way. If you're measuring a sense of fullness, it ain't full. But I think the sense of living fully, showing up fully, in a way, has a sense of a kind of unconstrained. So what does usually constrains us? Well, self-concern. That's what really constrains us. Self-concern. What prevents us from just being here fully? Oh, it's the sense of, concern with something I think should be happening, some way I should be, some doubt about what others are thinking of me, etc. So maybe we just might start just with the invitation. First invitation. Oh, can you just let yourself be here fully right now? Unconstrained and unconcerned. Excuse me. Ooh. Can you let yourself be here fully? Unconstrained. Just checking in with the sort of body and nervous system, inviting sense of openness and relaxation. Can I be here unconstrained? And then unconcerned. Maybe some very real concerns in one's life, but can you just let them, you can't make them go away, but can you soften around any concerns? Just soften your attention, soften your heart. Soften that tendency to fuss with the stuff of our lives. Unconstrained, unconcerned. And then the second invitation is, if there's anything that seems to be in the way of that, if there's anything that seems like, I can't show up fully because there's this or that constraint or concern that I can't let go of. There's some constraint, maybe some physical difficulty or health concern or pain that seems like I can't just soften that. Or there's some concern, some life circumstance, some painful relationship, something that seems like you can't, in this moment, just let it be. Something that you can't drop the constraint or the concern. And if that's the case, can you be very gentle toward that element of your experience, very tender? And in being gentle and tender, there's a sense of bringing it in, including it, caring for it, allowing it, rather than fighting with it or pushing it away. And that's another way of being here fully, right? Allowing the parts of our experience, even if they're uncomfortable parts or seemingly unspiritual parts. To show up fully, it's not very full if we can only allow certain parts, the ones we think are right, and have to get rid of the other ones. No. Fully. It's like all welcome. If you're feeling, somebody just mentioned feeling sleepy. Okay. Welcome. Let yourself feel the sleepiness. You don't want to just succumb to it, but you also don't want to fight against it. It's like, that Zen saying, what's the vision of a liberated life? And the response is, when hungry, eat. When tired, sleep. That sense of a kind of, the including what's here without constraint or concern. The responding to what's here without constraint or concern. Can you feel the relief in that? So, some time for meditation together. Some direction, right? Just to point ourselves in that possibility. Being here, sitting, breathing, sensing, opening, without constraint or concern. And the caveat that if any constraint or concern nevertheless shows up, don't fight against it. Don't get constrained around the constraint. Include it, welcome it, care for it. Love it, whether you like it or not. All right, friends, please take your seat for meditation. So just using those few reflections to gather your attention, right? Really just settling into your experience, feeling the sense of body sitting and inviting an unconstrained presence. One that kind of might come down from your head, just softening the muscles in your face, softening your shoulders and down through your arms and into your hands. One that allows breath to move freely. One that relaxes your belly and allows your legs and feet to sink a little into the chair or the floor. Unconstrained presence. Settling into this breathing body. And then just noticing if there are any wisps of habitual thinking nagging at your attention. And just seeing what it is to invite an unconcerned presence. If just for this while of sitting, there's no need to follow those usual patterns of thought, no need to reinforce one's concerns. And so that just the feeling of sitting here and the naturalness of breath coming and going can be the living expression of being here fully. Unconstrained and unconcerned. breathing. In an unconstrained presence, an unconcerned presence, there's naturally a sense of ease, of relaxation, a sense of the softening of our usual boundaries, and therefore a kind of availability to the wider field of life. to the fluidity of experience. A sense of, things have their natural movement, natural coming and going of breathing and of sensations and sounds and thoughts. And the unconstrained rolling on, the unconstrained flow of experience. Unconstrained breathing. Unconstrained bodily life, naturalness of sensation. You're seeing as you sit in this very simple way, being present in this breathing body. You're seeing if you can attune to this sense of non-constraint, natural unfolding. An unconstrained quality within experience that invites our own relationship to experience to be similarly unconstrained, to relax, to open. To be unconcerned. Unconstrained sounds. Maybe you can hear the neighbours here in Paris. The girl that was just coming down the stairs going to school. Trash being emptied in the courtyard. Don't make sound. Maybe there are sounds around you where you're sitting, neighbours. Don't make a constraint around the sounds. Don't generate concern unnecessarily. Don't create a disturbance where there is none. Letting sounds come and go freely, like sensations come and go freely, like breath comes and goes freely, like everything comes and goes freely. unconstrained, unconcerned presence. A kind of blessed, luminous intimacy with life. Let's take a moment to scan through your experience and see, can you find any constraint, any tension, any resistance, any refusal? Can you find any concern, any unnecessary ideation, any fussing with experience? And if you can find either first, just see if you can drop it. Give it up. Leave it alone. Let it dissolve. And in doing so, tasting that sense of unconstrained, unconcerned. And if it won't drop, if it won't dissolve, then welcome it in. See if you can give a very tender, gentle, allowing attention to that constraint or concern. Listening to the feeling that's underneath, some resentment maybe, or confusion, or irritation. And just continuing to practice like this for the remaining few minutes of the sitting. May we all live with an awareness that is fundamentally unconstrained, unconcerned, open, and free. All right. Nice. Nice to sit with you. I've been sitting with lots of people in rooms last while. I taught quite a lot of retreats over the summer, July and August. I think I taught about 6 weeks of retreat in July and August. And then in Gaia House last 2 weeks as well. So yeah, it's wonderful to be in a hall with people, that sense of shared presence. And yet, it's also very much sense of shared presence sitting here together. So there's a little time for questions that you might have. There's 1 or 2 people have posted questions already. So please feel free. And you can follow the same convention, that Steph and Lean have done by putting question in caps at the beginning, and then I can determine the questions from just the comments. And just first of all, a reminder of Dana, the way Sangha Live operates, that sense of freely offered, show up here without constraint, without financial constraint, and you needn't have any financial concern about participating here. It's offered senses to try to make this as widely and freely and inclusively available as possible. And while we can attend in a very unconstrained and unconcerned way, then nevertheless, in the running of things, there are the financial constraints of bills and salaries and taxes and accounting and internet commissions and all of that stuff, and the thousands and thousands of euros of overheads that every month that Sangha Live has to operate. So please feel free to offer in an unconstrained way to support all of that. And it's interesting, right? Because when we hear unconstrained, unconcerned, we can generate all kinds of concerns. Yeah, but what about? So of course there are the real concerns we have, like in Dana. Well, I'd like to support Sangha Life, but my concern, well, how much is possible for me, and what's reasonable, and etc. So one has to reflect about these things. One has to take account of the real limitations, one's physical limitations, one's financial limitations, right? Otherwise known as constraints. And yet, in the midst of the real constraints of our lives, that's the thing. How do we show up in a life and a world that is constrained in various ways, with an attention to and a care for those constraints that itself is open, unconstrained? So in the moment of making a dana offering, whatever your particular constraints might be, and whatever your particular concerns might be, having it reflected in some necessary way, just in the moment of offering, let the feel of making a dana offering, let the feel of that be as much as possible unconstrained. That sense of, it's offering, it's a gift, it's support, it's a form of blessing. So thank you in advance for the dana that you offer. It's very directly exactly what makes Sangha possible to continue, and it's also a support for the teachers that teach here, and that means me this week. So I'm also appreciative and grateful for your support. Yeah. And George usually posts the link. Look at that, right on the right, just to the second, well attuned. So you can see the link appear there. All right, let's have a look at questions. I might put my spectacles on for the questions. Steph asks about perceiving sounds without concern. Have you any suggestions for when our bodies respond instantly to sounds? I'm sensitive to sound, and when the housemate makes sounds, body responds, fight, flight, feeds into worry. Right. So, when I talk about constraint and concern, those are the sort of two ways that we get tight. Right. Another way of referring to those is tension and drama. So the physical reactivity shows up as constraint or tension, and then the more mental, emotional reactivity shows up as concern. Why is this happening? How don't they know that I'm asleep? Why are they making so much noise? Or drama. So tension and drama. And if there's a situation like sounds at night that you find particularly difficult, and that you have that intense fight-flight response, don't wait for those moments to try to apply your practice. Right? That's like you want to practice, you want to learn the violin, and you go straight to trying to play Mozart's violin concertos. Right? No. What I would say is really attend to your patterns of constraint and concern, your patterns of tension and drama in other much less charged moments. Right? So you just get a sense, you get familiar with the habit of how I get into, oh, I don't like that. Why is that happening? This isn't okay. You get familiar with where in your body your habitual places of tightening, bracing, resisting, constraining are. And you really attend to that in the lighter, easier, less challenging moments. And then I would say the night sounds might start to take care of themselves. It's a really important principle of that. We say, oh, that's my big problem, and then I want my practice to solve that problem. Right? Hence the example about Mozart and the concertos. Go straight to the biggest problem and try to solve that. Well, that big problem, if it was that easy to solve, you would have solved it by now, right? But baby steps, gentle steps. Attend to where else that same patterning arises, because like a friend of mine says, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. So you can find out a lot about your habits of tension and drama in simpler ways, right? I mean, feel free to attend to that night stuff as well. But, like you say, you have a strong response. And so you might find that you're so quickly caught up both in the physiological fight-flight response and all the kind of however you're feeling towards and whatever you're saying inwardly towards your housemate, that it's hard to get enough space from it in that moment. So attend to the other moments. If you wait for the sort of emergency situations, the highly triggered situations, and then I don't really want to practice if everything's feeling fine. I want to just practice when in those really difficult moments. Yeah. Take care of the other moments, the ordinary moments, and then you'll be much better prepared to meet the more challenging moments. All right, Lean, right out of nowhere. What is the body? That's such a great question. What is the body? I'm laughing and I'm saying it's a great question because I don't have a great answer. It's one of those profoundly, of course it sounds very easy. What's the body? Hello, lump of flesh, etc. But so there's the biological body, right? It's this lump of flesh, this aging human organism with all its constraints and limitations, and with all its phenomenal capacities. And then there's the experiential body, right? Which I assume, Leeton, is what you're asking about. What is body experientially? Because the experiential body doesn't really conform very closely at all to the biological body. Even the sense of what space does the experiential body take up? Oh, it can take up a sense of boundless space, when the boundaries soften. So we can answer that question in so many ways, really depending on our sensitivity in the moment. There may be moments when we say, oh, the whole universe is my body, or my body is the whole universe. And that feels absolutely experientially true in the moment. And I think it's helpful to allow something to be experientially true without trying to make it ontologically true, right? So don't try to make it, in other words, a statement of fact. Your whole body is the universe. It just sounds like a nonsense to some people, right? But let it be experientially true while it is experientially true. Oh, everything's included. Body is as wide as the world. Or in other moments we say, what's the body? Oh, it's nothing. It's unfindable. It's transparent. It's like just fizzing sensation. It's like bubbles in champagne. And the whole body is just, fizzing bubbles of sensation. There's no sense of solidity anywhere. Okay, let that be experientially true when it is experientially true. And then I would say to be content to recognize that experientially, there is no one answer, no right answer, no complete answer. So what is the body? It's body is the way it can be perceived in all kinds of non-ordinary ways. Except those ways become more ordinary. You just get more familiar with the fact that a body can be just an empty, unfindable collection of fizzing energy bubbles, or body can feel like this vast, kind of like a mountain, infinitely solid and vast, etc. Or body can also just be body can be pain. Body can feel like it's on fire. That can be experientially true and yet not ontologically true, etc. So I don't know if I've gotten anywhere near answering the question that you were asking behind that, Lynn, but I think I may have. I hope I have. Wow. I'm just noticing, Roger, you saying good morning and that you're in Lebanon. So, feeling for you in the intensity of what's happening there. And I'm really glad you're able to show up here, sit with us here. Welcome. David asks about letting go when in physical pain. So, it's really often with physical pain, the letting go is one step too far. Right? Letting go happens by itself. So if you try to let go, you end up you're not really letting go. You're just generating resistance. Oh, this is painful. I want to let go of this pain. You mean is I want to get rid of this pain. Right? So what's really helpful is taking it. So there's a few things going on in physical pain. Right? There's the actual sensations, which are usually some form of heat and density. Right? That's what constellates. There's heat and there's density, and we call that physical pain. And then there's usually, in addition to that, there's constraint, right? There's tightness around the heat and density, pushing against the heat and density. And then there's the label we've put on it, pain, don't want, don't like. And then that creates a whole complex, right? So there's bare sensation plus constraint and concern, or tension and drama, and the constellation of all that is then what we call, oh no, this pain I have. So what you can do is just come in close, being very gentle and tender, kind attention, oh, kind towards the heat and density, kind towards the one that's feeling, agitated or resistant or scared or whatever. And just keep coming into that while you can. When it's too much, come away to something else. And then in that process, you get familiar, you get more and more familiar with what we do to physical discomfort to make it into pain. And of course, there's the kind of pain that might come in meditation from just sitting still for a while. And then there's also pain that might come from an injury, right, or a medical condition. And there's pain that sort of is there, that as soon as you change your meditation posture, it dissolves. And then there's pain that might be a chronic condition that one's dealing with ongoingly. So I don't know what the situation is for you, and if I knew more, I would probably say it in slightly different ways, But most essentially, I would say kindness towards the pain and towards the sense of the one who's experiencing the pain, and then just letting yourself really see the difference between the bare experience, heat, density, tingling, etc., and the add-ons, the habitual add-ons, the reactive add-ons, etc. All right. Caroline says, how do you know when ideation is unnecessary? As on one hand, when someone is tired, the response is to feel the tiredness but not succumb. But the other, when tired, yeah. So when ideation is unnecessary, when it's like, what is it? If you're wondering whether your ideation is unnecessary, it probably is. When a clear thought, it's just obvious. It's clear, helpful thought. Oh, I'm thirsty. Get a drink of water. One doesn't stop to think, oh, was that an unnecessary thought? So clear thoughts, helpful thoughts, you have a sense of, one can recognize the clarity within them, the helpfulness within them. And it even might be more developed than that. One's reflecting on something like that question of Lean's, what's the body? Oh, what's the body? And then one notices the kinds of images, self-images or thoughts that arise. Oh, that's not it. Let's go. One keeps entering, what's the body? Oh, it's amazing how the sense of physical body can be tight or can be soft, can open. So this is not unnecessary ideation. This is a kind of reflective ideation that supports a deepening experience. And then one starts to think, oh, it's so interesting. Yeah, and I remember actually, what was that thing I was reading about bodies? And oh yeah, I can imagine, it's like, and then you start to get lost in ideas about body, and then you realize that you're not really tracking the experience. It's not really so directly helpful anymore. You're getting lost in. So what you can do, Caroline, is notice helpful ideation. Notice the clear thoughts, the helpful thoughts, the kind thoughts, the thoughts that help you just meet a situation. And get a feel for just the natural rightness or clarity of those thoughts. And then if some thinking's going on and you're wondering, oh, is this helpful or is it unhelpful? Feel what's driving that concern. Some kind of, oscillation in the mind, anxiety, fretting, concern in that way. So you can see if that's helpful or not. All right, I see there are more questions and more comments, but time, lots more, but time has run out, friends. So please come back tomorrow. And if the question's still alive for you tomorrow, then please feel free. You can just paste it in again tomorrow, and I'll get to some more then. So thank you for your presence and your practice. Please go gently through the day. Maybe you can enter into Monday with some sense of unconstrained, unconcerned. All right. Thank you. See you tomorrow.